Have you ever felt it? That quiet weight pressing against your chest. The feeling that you could be so much more, yet you're stuck, trapped. The world spins faster every day, and yet it feels as if you're standing still, watching others rise, while you remain tethered to the ground. The dream of greatness, of becoming who you were always meant to be, seems just out of reach. It's as though the very air around you is thick, and no matter how hard you try to breathe, it won't let you. What if I told you that this powerlessness, this sense of despair, is not a natural part of who you are? What if I told you that this weight you carry isn't yours to bear? What if the world you know, the very fabric of society, is designed to keep you from rising, to keep you small, to keep you dimmed? For centuries, those in power have worked tirelessly to shape your perception of yourself, to tell you that you are small, insignificant, powerless. But the truth is far more profound. You have within you right now the power to rise above the noise, to step into the light that has always been there. But you've been taught to ignore it. You've been conditioned to believe that greatness is, for others, that the ability to change your world is something reserved for the lucky few. But what if all of that is a lie? What if your power, your potential has always been there, waiting, dormant, inside you? Who benefits from your silence? Who profits from your doubt? Who is pulling the strings, keeping you grounded in a life of mediocrity? It's time to pull back the curtain and expose the hidden forces that have kept you trapped. Forces that thrive on your compliance, your fear, your silence. The world has conditioned you to feel small, insignificant. But I am here to tell you, your story is just beginning, and the power to rise and shine is waiting for you to claim it. Throughout history, there have been moments, crucial, defining moments, when the masses, the so-called ordinary people, were told they were powerless. History has not been kind to those who sought to rise beyond the prescribed limits. The powers that be, whether monarchs, empires, or governments, have always had a vested interest in keeping the masses in check. The illusion of powerlessness wasn't a mere coincidence. It was a carefully constructed narrative. Let's go back to ancient Rome, to the peak of imperial control. The rulers of the empire held an unshakable belief in the power of their own dominance. The average citizen, the plebeian, was taught that their role in society was to serve, to obey, and to accept their station in life. Their capacity for influence was limited, their access to power non-existent. They were told that only a few were born to rule, while the rest were born to follow. The rhetoric of Roman rulers was crafted to keep the masses passive. Even the gladiators, those who fought for survival in the Colosseum, were seen not as men, but as commodities, trapped in a system designed to entertain the masses while keeping them subjugated. Jump forward to the Middle Ages and you see a similar story unfolding across Europe. The monarchs, the kings and queens lived in palaces while the people toiled in fields. The church, a dominant institution at the time, reinforced the message. Power, greatness, was divinely ordained. The peasants were told they were born to serve, and this life of servitude was not just a duty, but a virtue. Heaven awaited them if they remained humble and obedient. But the truth was more insidious. The nobility and the church used this narrative to keep the masses silent and complacent, ensuring that no challenge to their control ever took root. And what about the Industrial Revolution, a time of supposed progress, when technology and innovation were supposed to uplift humanity? Yet for the workers toiling in factories, the reality was far from liberating. The factory owners and industrialists preached the gospel of hard work and success, but only for themselves. They relied on a narrative that cast the working class as powerless, as victims of circumstance. Workers were made to believe that their plight was inevitable, their roles in society predetermined. The illusion of powerlessness was reinforced by an economic system that provided no opportunities for the average person to rise. The wealthy class, on the other hand, grew richer, more powerful, further embedding the myth that only the privileged few could achieve greatness. These historical narratives are not just relics of the past. They are still alive today, woven into the fabric of our modern societies. We live in a world where the illusion of powerlessness is perpetuated through media, politics, and social structures. The average person is made to feel that their voice, their influence, is negligible. We are told that the systems are too big, too powerful to change. We are made to believe that we are too small, too insignificant to make a difference. But what if the true power has always been with us? What if the narrative of powerlessness has been nothing more than a strategy, one designed to keep us from realizing the potential we've always had? The illusion of powerlessness is not a law of nature. It is a construction, one that has been carefully designed over millennia. And as we will see, it is a lie that you have the power to shatter. To understand the psychology of control, we must first examine the most fundamental question. How do societies make us feel small? How do they manage to convince individuals, capable, intelligent, unique human beings, that they are insignificant? The answer lies in a deep understanding of social conditioning, fear, and the mechanisms of manipulation that have been fine-tuned over centuries. From the moment we are born, we are shaped by external forces. Our families, schools, media, and governments all play a role in crafting the narrative of our lives. But the most profound influence comes from society's norms and expectations. These societal constructs are designed not only to define who we are, but to limit what we can be. The primary weapon in this psychological arsenal is the fear of nonconformity. Consider the education system. From a young age, children are taught that they must fit within a very specific mold. They are taught to memorize facts, follow rules, and fit in. Creativity, independence, and original thought are often suppressed in favor of conformity. The underlying message is clear: be like everyone else, or risk being labeled as different, as inadequate, as other. The moment someone steps out of line, they are marginalized, criticized, or worse, ignored. This is the first stage of control, creating a societal framework in which individuality is feared and dismissed, and the fear of standing out becomes so great that it stifles any desire to rise above. This conditioning doesn't stop in the classroom. The media plays a massive role in reinforcing this sense of smallness. The images we see on our screens, the stories told in movies, news, and advertisements all share a common theme. Greatness is reserved for the select few, and you, well, you're just one in a sea of millions. This narrative is especially pervasive in the world of social media, where influencers and celebrities are portrayed as the epitome of success and influence. Yet most of us are stuck scrolling, liking and watching, told to admire from a distance, but never daring to believe that we too could have an impact on the world. This psychological manipulation is a powerful force. It feeds into our insecurities, makes us question our worth, and convinces us that we are incapable of greatness. The modern world is full of examples of this. Advertisements that make us feel inferior, media that tells us we need to look a certain way, earn a certain amount, live a certain lifestyle. All of these elements create a narrative of scarcity. There's only so much room at the top, and it's not for you. But let's take this a step further. This fear, this feeling of smallness, it's not just an accident. It's a tool used by those in power to maintain control. Fear is one of the most effective ways to keep people in line. If you can make someone afraid of failure, afraid of rejection, afraid of standing out, you've already won. They will remain within the boundaries you set for them, never questioning their worth, never striving for something greater. It's a tactic that's been used for centuries by rulers, governments, and corporations. It's not just about creating a passive citizen, it's about creating a fearful one. A person who feels small, insignificant, and powerless is less likely to challenge the status quo, to rise above the noise, and demand something more from life. Instead, they will remain content with the crumbs that are given to them, grateful that they are allowed to exist at all. This psychology of control also feeds into the concept of propaganda. In a world where information is constantly being fed to us, the way we perceive our reality is shaped by those who control the flow of information. News outlets, social media platforms, even the very stories we're taught in school, all reinforce the idea that the world is how it is, and we are simply here to accept it. We are told that the systems in place are unchangeable, that the way things are is the way they've always been, and the way they always will be. The average person is conditioned to believe that their personal power is not only limited, but irrelevant. But what if that were a lie? What if deep inside we all possess the power to change? What if the only thing that is holding us back is the belief that we are powerless in the first place? This belief, this conditioning, is what keeps us small. But the truth is, the power to rise, to shine, and to break free from these constraints has always been there. It's simply waiting to be uncovered. Understanding the psychology of control is the first step in reclaiming that power. Once you realize how society has shaped you, how it has convinced you to play small, you can begin to dismantle the false narratives that hold you back. The question now is, What will you do with this knowledge? Will you remain small, or will you rise and shine? The psychology of resistance is not merely about defying authority or rejecting societal norms. It is a deeper, more profound shift within the self. The act of awakening to the truth of your own potential and breaking free from the chains that have held you back, often without your conscious awareness. To understand how to resist the forces that seek to suppress us, we must first understand what it means to truly break free. It's not just a matter of rebellion, it's a matter of transformation. To resist is to confront the deepest fears and doubts that have been ingrained in us since birth. The conditioning that tells us we're not enough, that we're not worthy, that we are incapable of achieving anything greater than what we've been handed. Resistance, therefore, begins within. The moment we acknowledge that we've been living in a state of mental captivity, the chains we are bound by are not made of steel or iron. They are made of beliefs about our place in the world, our worth, and our ability to shape our own future. The first step in breaking free is recognizing these limiting beliefs. These are the thoughts that tell you that you're not good enough, that you're too small to make a difference, that change is for someone else but not for you. They have been planted in your mind, often by the systems and structures that seek to control you. These beliefs are powerful because they create a mental cage. But the truth is, these beliefs are nothing more than stories we've been told, and stories we've been conditioned to believe. Breaking free requires us to confront these stories head-on. This is where the psychology of resistance comes into play. Resistance is not about external rebellion alone. It's about a mental revolution. It is the moment you recognize that the limitations you believe in are not inherent truths, but false narratives that you have internalized. You must ask yourself, who told me that I can't succeed? Who told me that I'm not worthy of greatness? And why did I believe them? But questioning these beliefs isn't enough. You must actively replace them with new beliefs, beliefs rooted in the truth of your inherent potential. This requires an act of self-empowerment, one that challenges everything you've been taught about your place in the world. It involves stepping into discomfort, confronting the unknown, and embracing the uncertainty that comes with change. In the face of this discomfort, many will fall back into familiar patterns. They will retreat into safety, into the belief that it's easier to stay small than to risk standing out. This is where the power of community comes in. To resist alone can feel impossible. But when you surround yourself with those who believe in the same ideals, those who are willing to challenge the status quo alongside you, resistance becomes a collective force. The act of resistance is not just an individual effort. It's a shared, communal act of defiance against a world that seeks to suppress you. The process of breaking free also involves embracing failure, not as a reflection of your inadequacy, but as a necessary step toward growth. Society conditions us to fear failure, to view it as the ultimate sign of our limitations. But true resistance requires us to redefine failure. It is no longer a mark of being small or insignificant. Instead, it becomes an opportunity for self-discovery, an opportunity to learn, adapt, and rise stronger. The person who never fails is the person who never attempts to break free. The psychology of resistance also requires a shift in mindset. It is the recognition that although we are conditioned to believe that we are small and powerless, we are, in reality, capable of far more than we've been led to believe. This shift is a mental liberation, a realization that we have the capacity to question, to create, and to build something greater than ourselves. The power to resist is not just in your actions, it's in your thoughts, your beliefs, and your understanding of what's possible. Resistance is not about fighting against others. It's about fighting for your own truth. It's about shedding the layers of conditioning that have kept you small and stepping into the vastness of your own potential. The act of resistance is the act of reclaiming your sovereignty, of choosing not to be a passive participant in the narrative that society has written for you. The journey to break free will not be easy. It will challenge you in ways you cannot predict. But it is the most powerful journey you can embark on. For in breaking free from the chains of social conditioning and self-doubt, you unlock the boundless power within you. You rise not just for yourself, but for everyone who dares to believe that they too have the power to break free. As you stand on the precipice of this transformation, ask yourself, what is more terrifying, the fear of remaining small or the possibility of becoming everything you were always meant to be? The power to rise is within you, and once you recognize it, there is nothing and no one that can hold you back. The journey we've traveled together has been a deep dive into the hidden forces that keep us small, the beliefs that hold us back, and the power we each have to rise and shine. But now, as we reach the end of this exploration, the question becomes, what do we do with this knowledge? What action can we take to turn these insights into something tangible, something real? The answer is simple, yet profound. The first step is to believe in the possibility of your own greatness. To acknowledge that the power to change, to rise, to break free from the chains that bind you, has always been inside you. It is not a distant dream or a future fantasy. It is within your reach, here and now. You see, the greatest obstacle is not the world around us. It's the belief that we cannot change it. That belief has been instilled in us since birth, fed by society, media, and the powers that benefit from our silence. But as we've uncovered, these forces are built on illusions. The truth is, you are far more powerful than you've been led to believe. And the power to rise is a choice you can make right now. But this journey of transformation requires action. It's not enough to just think about rising. It's not enough to simply recognize that you have power within you. The real challenge lies in taking that first step, in stepping out of the shadows of doubt and into the light of your true potential. The world will tell you it's too hard, that it's easier to stay where you are, that change is for others, not for you. But that is a lie. The only person who can decide whether you rise or remain where you are is you. So, what will you choose? Will you remain small, Continue to live under the weight of limiting beliefs and let the world shape you into something you were never meant to be. Or will you rise? Will you face the discomfort, the fear, the uncertainty, and take that first step toward your true potential? The choice is yours. To rise is not to reject the world, it's to rise above it. It's to recognize that you are not defined by your circumstances, your past, or the stories others have told you about who you are. You are defined by the choices you make and the actions you take in the present moment. Every day you wake up, you have the opportunity to rise, to stand tall in the face of adversity and take control of your destiny. But rising is not a one-time event. It is a continuous process, a daily commitment to breaking free from the constraints that hold you back. It's a commitment to questioning everything you've been told and rewriting the narrative of your life. It's a commitment to never settling for smallness, but to continually pushing toward greatness, no matter how difficult the path may seem. And as you rise, you will inspire others to do the same. The power of one person rising is not just in their own transformation, but in the ripple effect it creates. When you rise and shine, you show others that they too have the power to rise. You become a beacon of possibility in a world that often feels dim and uncertain. Your light becomes a signal to others, a reminder that they too can break free from the illusion of powerlessness and step into the life they were always meant to live. This is the call to action. This is the invitation to rise, to break free from the lies that have kept you small, to confront the fears that have held you captive, to embrace your true power, not as something distant or impossible, but as something immediate and real. You have everything you need inside of you to rise and shine. It's time to stop waiting for permission, stop waiting for the right moment, and start taking action now. The world needs your light. The world needs you to rise. So take the first step today. Choose to rise, choose to shine. And in doing so, you'll not only change your life, you'll change the world.